Hello again, everybody. Now, one of the requests I had recently for a little video was for a quick how-to was for using a plying bracelet. And a plying bracelet is used when we have just a little bit of yarn left over, maybe if we've spun two singles which we intend to ply normally together. And sometimes we end up with a little bit left over on one bobbin, don't we? So rather than actually wasting that, if we did a little plying bracelet, you can then incorporate that into your ply and you'll end up using all of your lovely hand spun rather than having little bits and bobs left over. It's also useful if you want to do a little sample, because you know my rules, don't you? Test, test, test. So if you're doing a little sample skein, it's also a really useful technique just for doing small amounts rather than doing two separate bobbins. You can do this straight from one bobbin. Okay, so I'll switch from camera around and I'll show you what we do. Okay, so you should be able to see here that I've got a small amount of yarn left on this bobbin here, and I need to take that off so that I can actually ply it back onto another bobbin. Okay, so all we need to do is take the end of our yarn that's coming off with the bobbin, just wrap that around your thumb a couple of times so it's out of the way. Now, how have we got the light here? Let me have a look. Here we go. Can we see? Oops, hang on a minute. It's a bit sunny today, isn't it? It's me complaining about the sun again. Gosh, I'm so British. Right, so what we're going to do is wrap that end around your thumb so that we know exactly where it is. Now, we're going to go around the middle finger, okay? So we're going to go from the right to the left, around the back of your hand, and back up to your middle finger. And again, go around the right to the left, down, around the back, and back up. So we're crossing over just here. So rather than just looping it around your finger, you're actually crossing it over. So it's going around there, around the back of your finger, crossing over, underneath your middle finger, turn your hand over around the back. And you will just keep doing that. Now, don't do this too tightly around your middle finger, otherwise you end up with blue fingers and your finger dropping off. But what you see is you actually get a nice, it sort of gives you a pattern to work to. So once you've got your first row in place, all you need to do is just keep following that around, just making sure it just stays in order. Okay, so around your finger here. So you can see the idea is that we're going to be removing this section once we've finished it. Okay, so just keep that taut but not tight. Okay, just keep it nice and organized. So underneath your little finger, around the back of your hand, around the back of your hand, from right to left and down, around, right to left, down, around the back of your hand, middle finger, right to left, under your middle finger, around the back of your hand, back up. And once you get that rhythm going, you can do this quite quickly. Like that. It's quite satisfying, really. It's nice, but as I say, just don't get too tight. You don't want too much on here. You know, if this is this is actually a technique in its own right for plying, obviously, but there are tools that you can use. There is a plying bracelet, a plying tool that you can actually use rather than using your finger. But for such a small amount, it's a really useful thing to do, just to help you finish off those bobbins. So let's look at that once more as I've changed colour again. So going around the middle finger, right to left, under your middle finger, around the back of your hand, back up, around the middle finger, right to left, and down. You know, there's probably lots of other ways of doing this, but as always, you know, this is the way that works for me. You'll also find it easier if you've left your bobbins to relax somewhat. Now, as you know, one should always leave their bobbins to relax, just for that twist, if there's any additional twist in there. Okay, I'm at the end, I was going to break that off. If you've got any additional twist, or it's quite a lively twist, it can make it a little bit more complicated, a little bit less organized. So just leaving it to relax for, you know, overnight would be great, you know, just allow that all to find its place. When you come then to do your plying bracelet, you'll find it much more easy to do as well. Okay, right, so now we have one end here and the other end is here. So the idea of this, the whole purpose, is that we're trying to find these two ends. We need those two ends to be together. Okay, so I'll stop waving my hand around, you'll see what I'm doing. So if we just take this off of my finger, and I'm going to just leave that just sitting there on my wrist. Okay, now these two ends, let's see if I can get those matching. Okay, so now I've got these two ends, you see that on my apron, they're sitting there nice and parallel. Okay, and I've got my leader set up here. Now I'm going to just tie these three ends together. You could make a little loop in your leader if you prefer and thread through the loop, but it's like any old knot, seems to work for me. Okay, now then, so to do the actual ply, let's see if we can see this. Okay, so you can see this is sitting quite comfortably on my wrist here, and we need to keep these two strands parallel all the time. So it's almost like we're working in a big loop, really. But we've got both of our ends here ready to ply together. So as with any ply, we need to keep some tension here and to keep it a little bit taut. Start your wheel going. Now you can see those two strands, and right, so slide your fingers back, take your hand through that loop and back. As you take it in, remove that loop. I'm coming down a bit closer, at the wrong angle here, aren't I? And forward and back and forward. And as you come back, release some more and forward and back, release some more. You can feel when it needs to be released, because obviously as you get to here, look, I'm run out of yarn there. So just by taking my hand back through that gap, it's just releasing it from my wrist. And again, it's just nice and organized, nice and relaxed. Just consider the amount of twist that you need to insert as well. So keep your rhythm going, whatever your treadle needs to be. I'm not particularly counting that at the moment, I have to say, but I'm just trying to concentrate more on showing you what my hand is doing, to be honest. I think I'm just working at a bit of a funny angle here. I'm just trying to get it into the camera shot for you as well. I feel like I'm a little bit twisted. I'd normally have my hands more in front of me, where I'm a little bit more comfortable. But I hope you can see there exactly what my hand is doing, or what both my hands are doing. See my front hand here. It doesn't matter which hand you use either way. You know, if you wanted to ply, if you like to ply with your left hand as your front hand, then you just put your plying bracelet on the opposite hand. Okay, a little bit of extra twist at the end. And there we have our little bit of plying. As I said, a really, really useful way of just plying small amounts for a little test, or for using up what's left on one partial bobbin as well, so you use all your lovely hand spun. But you can see it's actually, you know, you just create just a normal 2-ply yarn. Because I wasn't really checking my twist as I was plying, to be honest, I was just concentrating more on the technique. This is a little bit on the loose side, obviously, but you can see that you just end up with a nice normal 2-ply, really useful. So as always, I hope you let me know exactly how that works for you. Did you find that useful? And again, just, you know, get in touch, let me know. I'd love to hear from you all. Okay, so that's it for today. Have a fabulous weekend, or whatever day of the week it is you're watching. Enjoy. Thanks for now. See you soon. Bye-bye.